Hi, I'm Hanan from I Deserve Couture, and we're here to talk about Pharrell's debut at Louis Vuitton. This show happened today, and I wanted to talk about a little more than just making a YouTube short, which I did. But before we start, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and comment, and let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about the way that he got hired. Since Virgil Abloh passed away, there really wasn't a clear successor of Louis Vuitton Menswear, so Louis Vuitton was really in a weird situation. It feels like Virgil left such a huge mark that it was impossible to find anybody who's going to replace him. After Virgil passed away, Louis Vuitton had a couple of collections that were honoring Virgil Abloh and utilized the concepts that he already implemented at Louis Vuitton, but there really was no clear answer who was going to take it over. Then the speculation started. And if you think that I did not enjoy them, oh my god, you are wrong. I love speculating who's going to take over what position at what house. It is my hobby. I love it so much. And when these speculations came about, there were a few names that seemed to be serious contenders for Louis Vuitton. Names like Martine Rose, Samuel Ross, Grace Wells Bonner. At one point, people were speculating that even Jonathan Anderson is going to take it. In my head, out of all of those, I was rooting for Martine Rose and Grace because I wanted to see a female version of Louis Vuitton's menswear. In my head, I was also one of the contenders, but Bernie Arnault did not call me, so I'm like, okay, whatever. Basically, it was all over the place. A few months ago passed by, nothing happened. All until February. So February comes along, I think it was on Valentine's Day, and Louis Vuitton and Pharrell announced that this creative partnership is happening, and officially Pharrell became the creative director of Louis Vuitton Menswear. Was I shooketh? I was shooketh. Did I see this coming? I really didn't see this coming. I mean, we all know that Pharrell has this undying love for fashion, but it never crossed my mind that he's going to take over for Louis Vuitton. And to be honest, people were harsh as hell, saying that this is absurd because he's not a designer, that Louis Vuitton is just using him because of his name and popularity, that he doesn't have experience, etc. I cannot tell you how many people ask me for my opinion when it comes to this subject, and I'll tell you what I already told them, and you might not agree with me, but that's fine. Many fashion brands are not necessarily looking for a skilled designer that is going to worry about the construction of the clothes. Right now, and you can hate me all you want, and a lot of brands are looking for individuals that know what's going to sell and have the eye for fashion. Everything else they can get easily, but the creative directors do not have to have the knowledge of sewing anymore. Yes, it is difficult to hear just because this industry has relied on the fashion designer as we know it by the book. But just like everything in fashion, fashion does change. Virgil Abloh did not know how to sew. Also, Daniel Roseberry from Schiaparelli, in an interview with Christian Lacroix, he said that he does not know how to sew a button. Daniel is an expert in sketching and he has the eye for fashion. Other than that, I think that Pharrell is pretty smart and he's going to surround himself with an extremely creative team. And he's going to be the one that's going to give them guidance and pick and choose what's going to work and what's not going to work. When asked about hiring Pharrell, Pietro Beccari, a longtime LVMH executive, said, "After Virgil, I could not choose a classical designer. It was important that we found someone having a broader spectrum than being a very fantastic designer, which is great for the industry and we have many of them. But for that particular place at Louis Vuitton, after Virgil, I thought we needed something more, something that went beyond just pure design." So Pharrell is hired. All of us are waiting for Menswear Week. So a few days before his show on June 20th, he announces his fashion show with a huge picture of pregnant Rihanna holding a coffee and 3 Louis Vuitton bags. In an interview with New York Times, he said, "What I love about this, it's the biggest fashion house in the world. And this is a black woman with a child." The picture took over the internet for a couple of reasons. First one, she's Rihanna. Second, she is pregnant Rihanna. Hello. And the third one, she's pregnant Rihanna holding Louis Vuitton bags. Get with the program, Mary. Get with the program. The show was presented in Paris on Pont Neuf at 9:30 p.m. Well, it is right in front of Pharrell's office. I'm kidding. Well, actually, I'm not kidding. The window by his desk overlooks the plaza close to Pont Neuf. But according to the show notes, the bridge embodies the metaphorical bridge between Virginia and Paris. Pharrell is originally from Virginia. He still has a house there, but now he lives in Paris, which he refers to as the center of the world for him. It was scheduled for 9:30, and talk about the celebrities being at the show. You had Beyonce and Jay-Z, you had Kim K, you had Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, you had Anita, you had Maluma, you had J Baldwin. There is like so many celebrities, it felt like a Met Gala at this point. Also, the best thing about that is that Pont Neuf, the bridge, got a glow up. They yassified it, and it was covered in Louis Vuitton damier pattern in yellow. And this collection focused on that pattern exactly. It just makes sense because it is the most famous Louis Vuitton pattern. And when the collection started, it was combined with the camouflage print. And the Louis Vuitton team referred to it as damouflage. In the show notes, they explain it as damouflage splices the heritage damier pattern of Louis Vuitton with camouflage in reflection of 2 domains of style: paying tribute to friends in Paris. And this is not the first Louis Vuitton collection that was heavily focused on this pattern. Back in 2013, Marc Jacobs had one of his iconic shows influenced by this pattern exactly. Pharrell and Marc Jacobs actually have a pretty cool Louis Vuitton story. Two of them collaborated back in 2004 on a sunglasses collection called Millionaire, and they were designed with Pharrell and Nigo, who is currently creative director of Kenzo. Marc Jacobs spoke about that time in Louis Vuitton and said that, "I thought the way forward for Louis Vuitton was to collaborate with other creatives. It didn't matter to me whether they were from music or art or other fashion designers, whether it's Steven Sprouse, Takashi Murakami, or Pharrell." So I do think that during Pharrell's time at Louis Vuitton, collaborations are going to be something that is common. And to be honest, at this point, I am very down for that. Now, as far as this camouflage print goes, you may like it or not like it. I do think it's a smart way to start your era at Louis Vuitton. Maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it is graphic and it's instantly recognizable. So in 5-10 years, when you see this suit on the runway, you're going to be like, okay, that is Pharrell's debut at Louis Vuitton. When it comes to this print, there were some looks that didn't hit the same, and then there were some looks that were like a match made in heaven. I love the looks that had the oversized or zoomed in pattern, since they're more graphic and they're more of a statement. While the smaller ones I tend to overlook because I was always looking for the oversized pattern ones, especially when it came down to coats. The coats were a highlight for me for a couple of reasons. You had coats or jackets that focused on fabric manipulation, some of them that heavily focused on the pattern, some of them that focused on the oversized logo, and then some of them that were simply minimalistic. So for me, it hit a lot of demographics that would purchase these coats. And you really had something for everyone. From a simple black and white looks with stunning jewelry, to denim moments, to the looks that made a blind man go, "Oh my god, you're wearing Louis Vuitton by Pharrell. I love that for you." And then we come to the Lovers logo, which Pharrell wanted to put in the forefront. So it says Lovers on the hat, for example, and in the show notes it says that Lovers is a state of mind, warmth, well-being, and welcomeness. Now let me break this down for a second. If you saw this and said it says LV verse, I do not blame you, because that was me also. When I was watching the show on my screen, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not a rocket scientist, but something is wrong. But then after getting the pictures and being able to zoom in, I was like, oh, okay, the little symbol represents the letter O. It makes sense now. I swear to God, I was like, LV verse. And if you're gay, you know what verse means. Sis, not Louis Vuitton trying to bottom shame. I'm kidding. But the Lovers logo is supposed to represent what the show represented. Love and support, hence all the people that came out to support and love what he's doing at Louis Vuitton. As much as I love this collection, I think that there were a couple of looks that I cannot stand behind, two in specific. This one stood out to me from the rest of the collection because the print and the material simply clash, and the outfit looks like it belongs to a collection that is heavily inspired by fishing, and the look before that also gave me confusion, but honestly, I think those were the two worst looks from the whole collection, and this collection has 76 looks, so it really is not that bad. He said one interesting thing during his Vogue interview, and he said, "I do not design for men, I design for humans." And I cannot stop thinking about that. These looks are geared for everyone. They do not scream menswear all the time. I don't think that they're necessarily feminine, also they're just there. And also a lot of these looks will be easily styled on women. Like I can see this look legit on Rihanna or Anita. Style a little bit differently with cool hairstyle, a bra, you're fine. What stole the show for me were definitely the bags, and it's very smart of Pharrell to focus on the bags since that is Louis Vuitton's bread and butter. You had something for everyone, from speedy bags to suitcases, and I gagged when I saw this bag because it's given me such a throwback to the 2000s. It has given me the era of Kim K and of course Paris Hilton with their Marc Jacobs Louis Vuitton bags. The era when our biggest concern was, are Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton actually friends, or they're just doing it for the show? Yes, everything is covered in logo, and to be honest, I'm not complaining. Fashion world is the logo world. And it would be crazy from a brand like Louis Vuitton that has one of the most famous logos out there not to utilize that and make money. Even though people are talking, oh, logomania is disappearing, I don't think it is. I think it's here to stay. It is a constant money maker, and fashion brands are not going to kill a cash cow. In the middle of the show, it's pretty cool to see these golf carts, and they had the Louis Vuitton trunks in the back, which were in camouflage, which could symbolize the history of Louis Vuitton, a brand which was originally known for luggage. What solidified this show for me was Pharrell taking a bow, and I'll tell you why. During his walk, he comes down the runway, applauds everybody, thanks everybody for coming, hugs his 4 children and his wife that are dressed exactly like him. I'm sorry, cuteness overload. And then the whole team comes out. And for me, any designer that shows love to the team has my heart. And I'm happy to see that because we live in a designer-obsessed world, and we tend to credit them for everything that happens on the runway. Even though the ideas may not be theirs, they still get the credit. And then when I see the designer is actually appreciating a team, it tells you what you need to know. Behind every great designer, there's even a greater team. So when Pharrell brought them out and thanked them, that makes me feel good because in my head, he's saying this is not just me, this is a group effort. Also, I read many comments saying that he was playing it safe. But for debut collection for Louis Vuitton, safe is smart. We have to take in consideration other factors also. First, he has to fill some big shoes. Second, everyone is waiting to see what he's gonna do. While fashion designers have only the eyes of the fashion world on them, Pharrell existed before doing fashion. So now he has fashion eyes on them and the eyes of the music industry. Third, he's taking over Louis Vuitton. He's not building his own brand. He's taking over arguably one of the top 5 biggest brands out there. So pressure is definitely there when you take at least 3 of those factors in consideration. For him, it is such an important job, and to risk it with crazy concept for his debut collection would create even more difficult task in the future. I think it's better to have a steady base and then you can build up on it than use all of your ideas and crazy concepts immediately and then you have to figure out how you're going to top yourself. And I have a feeling people are looking at him to be the next Virgil, which I don't think he will, and I don't want him to be the next Virgil. We had one Virgil, and I am a huge Virgil stan, but it's silly of us to look for Virgil in other people. Let Pharrell be Pharrell. With all that being said, I did like this collection a lot. For his first collection of Louis Vuitton, I think that he made a splash, I think he made a statement, and he has the support of so many celebrities. So you're definitely going to see these pieces on many celebrities. I think that Pharrell knows what he's doing. He knows that people want to look like celebrities and dress like celebrities, and I think that's the route he's going to take when it comes to his Louis Vuitton. But overall, his debut collection was great in my opinion. Okay, so that's about it. This is the first review I'm doing on this channel. Like, I never thought it's going to be Louis Vuitton and menswear. Am I straight? But yeah, in the comment section, let me know what you think. Did you like this collection? I really want to know everybody's opinion. If you liked it, write it down. If you didn't like it, you can also write it down. This is a safe space for everybody. We can agree to disagree, but you have to like it. No, I'm kidding. Do not forget to subscribe because we're going to be doing more of these. Okay, everybody, enjoy your day and stay amazing.